Hi friends, I'm doing a Shabby Chic craft and I thought I'd show you how I make Shabby Chic flowers. I start with cheesecloth and I cut it into some fairly good sized squares and another stack of a little bit smaller squares. There's no precise measurements to this, it's just, kind of eyeing it and seeing how you like it. So basically you want all of your edges cut and you start lightly pulling the threads away from the edges, all four corners you go through. And this is actually a craft that takes a little while. It's actually a good one if you're watching a movie or something, which is basically what I was doing. My computer was right in front of me, so I was kind of spacing out on that and just pulling threads because it does take a little while to do, but it's very relaxing. So you may notice the little pink circles that I have cut out on my desk there. You're going to need those for a backing, something to glue your pieces down on. And I flip it over so the good side of the fabric is down and I'm gluing on the back side of the little circle. And how you want to fold it is kind of corner on a flat edge and a corner on a flat edge. I really don't know how else to describe. You can kind of see what I'm doing better than I can describe it. And you want to get it to a point where it's basically a little triangle and you glue it down into the center of your circle that you have cut out. And after that, you start in on your next square. Now, it is easier to have all of your squares done ahead of time, but I did this just to show you guys, and I did find one that didn't have a cut edge. You need that cut edge to be able to pull off the threads, to pull them through. And actually, pulling out these threads, it's giving the edges kind of that roughed up look, and that just is the signature look of anything Shabby Chic, especially flowers. This is just a these type of flowers could be added onto pillows, blankets, headbands, little barrettes, depending on the size. There's so many things that you can do with these, and once you know how to make them, it's like riding a bike, you'll never forget it. So as I'm getting ready to put my next square on, you'll see that I place it kind of halfway on top of the last one that I placed on there, and that's kind of how you want to put it on. It kind of resembles what a pinwheel might look like. So it's just kind of the last one goes halfway on the one before it. And this is just a repeated process. You guys can see how it's much easier if you have all of your squares done ahead of time. I wasn't exactly sure how many I needed for this, and I really wasn't in a huge hurry today. It was a very lazy day for me, so spaced out watching movies on YouTube and watching you guys on YouTube while I did this, and just very relaxing. So since this is just a repeated process, I'm going to go ahead and be quiet and let you guys just watch. Now, if there's something that comes up that needs to be explained, I will do that, but go ahead and just watch and enjoy. quick, as I was grabbing those extra squares there, I kind of realized that I hadn't really told you guys. I use about 2 or 3 sheets of the cheesecloth at one time. You can use as many as you want or even as little as you want, just getting it to the thickness that you're happy with. Depending on what kind of flower I'm making, it would depend on how thick I want the pieces. There are variations to these flowers, and I will be showing you guys those later. Different things that you can add and do to make them a little bit different. So this is just one style that I'm showing you today. Now this was the last piece that I put on, and as you can see, I kind of pull up the first one and tuck the last one underneath it, and that kind of gives it just that uniform all the way around pinwheel look. And at this point I grab my smaller squares, and you can see the difference here, and I literally do the exact same thing with them. So as I glue down my middle row, and that's what these smaller squares are, they're the middle row of the flower, and it gives it that fuller look. As you can see, I glue it down to where it's in the middle of the petal underneath it. Just like how I was gluing the other ones, I would glue it down halfway, covering up the last petal that I glued down. That's how I glued these down, and it doesn't have to be that way. That's just how I do it. So as you guys can see, again, I pull up the first one that I glued down, so the last one kind of tucks underneath it. And at that point, I just kind of go through and fluff everything, and there's random little threads sticking out. I kind of pull those out. And my flower is going to need a center, and I am going to use a button. Now you can use anything. I have used many different things, but for this purpose, I'm going to use a button. my button is glued down and I decide I want some bling. So I choose, I try a bunch of different ones, and I was kind of looking at the blue because the button's blue, but I decided to go with a clear little flat crystal and glued it on there, and I'm happy with it. And I do show you the one that I made before with a pink one. Hope you guys like them, and you guys have a great day. Bye bye.